Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, 1961, wasn't just another submarine adventure. It was Irwin Allen's $15 million gamble that nearly bankrupted 21st Century Fox. The submarine set was so dangerous that actors refused to film inside it.
Irwin was totally devoid of humor, and I think he ruined it.
Joan Fontaine was hospitalized twice during production, and the ending they released wasn't the ending Allen wanted. These are 16 facts about the underwater disaster that launched television's longest-running science fiction series. 20th Century Fox bet $15 million on Irwin Allen's first science fiction film producer-director, Irwin Allen, had made successful disaster documentaries, but never fiction features.
The oddest thing happened. It may have been the very first time in the entire history.
20th Century Fox greenlit Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea with a massive $15 million budget, enormous for 1961. The studio was desperately seeking a hit after several expensive failures. Fox executives believed submarine adventures would capitalize on growing public interest in oceanography and nuclear submarines. Allen promised spectacular underwater sequences and cutting-edge special effects. The budget allocation was controversial within Fox. Several executives opposed risking so much on an unproven director's science fiction debut. Allen's confidence and salesmanship convinced studio head Spyro Skouras to approve funding. The massive investment represented Fox's faith in Allen's vision. If the film failed, it could potentially bankrupt the already struggling studio. The financial risk was enormous. Walter Pidgeon was hired. Because he'd actually served on submarines during World War I, Walter Pidgeon played Admiral Harriman Nelson, commander of the submarine Seaview. Pidgeon was cast specifically because of his authentic naval experience. During World War I, Pidgeon served in the Canadian military, including time aboard submarines. He understood submarine operations and naval protocol genuinely. Irwin Allen valued this authenticity for technical accuracy. Pidgeon could identify script errors about submarine procedures immediately. He corrected dialogue and suggested realistic naval terminology. The crew respected his knowledge. Pidgeon's real experience made his performance convincing to military consultants. The U.S. Navy approved the film partly because Pidgeon's technical knowledge ensured reasonable accuracy. His casting brought legitimacy to what could have been pure fantasy. Pidgeon later said his wartime service finally proved professionally useful 40 years later. The Seaview submarine set was built, full-scale, and immediately started sinking. Production designer Herman A. Blumenthal constructed a full-scale Seaview submarine measuring over 200 feet long. The massive set was built at the Fox backlot tank. During the first water test, the submarine began taking on water and sinking. Engineers hadn't properly waterproofed the hull. The set had to be completely rebuilt with better sealing. The reconstruction cost over $2 million and delayed production by 6 weeks. Even after repairs, the Seaview leaked constantly during filming. Pumps ran continuously to prevent flooding. Actors worked in inches of standing water. Electrical equipment posed serious shock hazards. The set's instability terrified cast and crew. Several actors refused to film inside the submarine after witnessing its structural problems. The full-scale Seaview became production's most expensive and dangerous element. Joan Fontaine was hospitalized. Twice for injuries, during underwater sequences, Oscar winner Joan Fontaine played scientist Dr. Susan Hiller and suffered multiple serious injuries. During underwater tank filming, Fontaine's diving equipment malfunctioned. She panicked and surfaced too quickly, suffering decompression sickness. She was hospitalized for 3 days. 2 weeks later, Fontaine struck her head on underwater set piece during another sequence. She required emergency medical attention for concussion. Doctors recommended she withdraw from production. Fontaine refused, insisting on completing her role. Production insurance companies threatened to cancel coverage if she continued. 20th Century Fox hired additional safety divers specifically to protect Fontaine. The injuries traumatized her. She later called it the most physically dangerous film of her career. Fontaine never worked with Irwin Allen again, despite his requests for future projects. Peter Lorre died 3 years after filming from heart problems. Worsened by production. Peter Lorre played Commodore Lucius Emery in what would be one of his final roles. Lorre was already in declining health with severe heart disease. The physically demanding underwater sequences strained his cardiovascular system dangerously. Lorre experienced chest pains multiple times during filming. He concealed his condition, fearing replacement. Production medics suspected problems, but Lorre refused examination. He completed filming through sheer determination despite obvious physical distress. Lorre died in March 1964, 3 years after the film's release. His autopsy revealed advanced heart disease. Colleagues later speculated that the production's physical demands accelerated his deterioration. Irwin Allen felt tremendous guilt about Lorre's participation. The giant octopus attack. Used real octopus that attacked the stunt divers. The climactic octopus attack sequence used actual live octopi combined with mechanical tentacles. Marine biologists provided several giant Pacific octopi for filming. The creatures were supposed to be controlled with food incentives. Instead, they became aggressive and attacked stunt divers repeatedly. One diver suffered severe lacerations from octopus beak. Another was nearly drowned when tentacles wrapped around his air hose. The octopi were impossible to control underwater. Production abandoned using live animals after multiple dangerous incidents. The remaining sequences used only mechanical tentacles. Animal welfare wasn't seriously considered in 1961 filmmaking. Frankie Avalon was cast to attract teenage audiences despite having no acting experience. Teen idol Frankie Avalon was cast as Lieutenant Junior Grade Chip Romano purely for commercial reasons. Avalon had zero dramatic acting experience, only beach party musical comedies. 20th Century Fox insisted Irwin Allen include Avalon to attract teenage female audiences. Allen reluctantly agreed under studio pressure. Avalon's complete inexperience created problems immediately. He couldn't deliver dramatic dialogue convincingly. Other actors grew frustrated working with him. Walter Pidgeon complained privately about Avalon's unprofessionalism. Allen spent hours coaching Avalon through basic acting techniques. The production schedule was extended because of Avalon's multiple takes. Despite these problems, Avalon's inclusion succeeded commercially. The film's scientific premise about the Van Allen radiation belt was completely incorrect. The plot centers on the Van Allen radiation belt catching fire and threatening Earth. Scientists must fire a nuclear missile to extinguish it. This premise is scientifically nonsensical. The Van Allen belt cannot catch fire in any meaningful sense. Space lacks oxygen necessary for combustion. Real scientists condemn the film's ridiculous physics. Irwin Allen didn't care about accuracy. He wanted spectacular disaster, not scientific plausibility. Physicist James Van Allen, who discovered the radiation belts, publicly criticized the film's misuse of his research. He called it absurd Hollywood science fiction. Allen ignored all scientific criticism. He believed audiences wanted excitement, not lectures. The complete disregard for actual science became Allen's trademark in future productions. Entertainment value always superseded scientific accuracy in his worldview. Scientists' complaints generated free publicity. If you're enjoying these behind-the-scenes secrets about classic science fiction disasters, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next deep dive. We've got more shocking production catastrophes coming soon. Now back to the Seaview's troubled voyage. Barbara Eden replaced another actress. 3 weeks into production, Barbara Eden played Kathy Connors but wasn't the original actress cast. Another actress whose name was contractually suppressed filmed for 3 weeks before being fired. Irwin Allen found her performance too sophisticated for the role. He wanted someone more wholesome and approachable. Barbara Eden was hired as emergency replacement. She had 3 days to learn her lines and integrate into production. Eden filmed all her scenes in compressed schedule to catch up. The firing and replacement cost production approximately $300,000. All previously filmed footage with the original actress was discarded. The nuclear missile launch climax used actual military stock footage. The film's climactic missile launch sequence incorporated genuine U.S. military footage of nuclear missile tests. The Department of Defense provided classified film from actual atomic weapons testing. The Pentagon approved this use, believing the film promoted positive views of nuclear technology and military readiness. Stock footage showed real Polaris missile launches from submarines. Irwin Allen integrated this authentic material with miniature effects seamlessly. Audiences couldn't distinguish real military footage from staged sequences. The Pentagon's cooperation was controversial. Some officials questioned whether nuclear weapons footage should appear in entertainment. However, Cold War propaganda considerations outweighed concerns. The film spawned a television series that ran longer than anyone expected. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea premiered as a television series in September 1964, 3 years after the film. ABC ordered it based on the movie's success. Irwin Allen expected 1 or 2 seasons maximum. The series ran for 4 seasons and 110 episodes, ending in March 1968. It became ABC's longest-running science fiction series at that time. The show's success shocked everyone, including Allen. The television production used modified versions of the film's submarine sets. Allen recycled props, costumes, and even footage from the movie throughout the series. The TV show's popularity far exceeded the film's cultural impact. It made the Seaview submarine iconic. The unexpected longevity proved that Allen's formula worked better in episodic television than cinema. Michael Ansara was nearly killed. When underwater breathing equipment failed, actor Michael Ansara played a submarine crew member and nearly drowned during underwater filming. His scuba equipment malfunctioned at depth in the filming tank. Ansara's air supply cut off completely. He was underwater approximately 30 feet down. Safety divers noticed his distress and brought him to the surface. Ansara was unconscious when he reached air. He required emergency resuscitation. Medics revived him, but he'd suffered oxygen deprivation. Ansara was hospitalized overnight for observation. The equipment failure was traced to faulty maintenance. Production safety protocols were completely inadequate. The near-death incident forced 20th Century Fox to hire professional dive supervisors. Ansara recovered fully, but the experience traumatized him. He refused all future underwater work throughout his career. The accident could easily have been fatal. The film's release was delayed 6 months due to special effects. Problems. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea was originally scheduled for January 1961 release. Special effects problems forced delay until July. The underwater miniature photography proved far more difficult than anticipated. Effects supervisor L.B. Abbott struggled to create convincing underwater sequences in the filming tank. Lighting, water clarity, and scale issues plagued production. Fox executives grew increasingly frustrated with missed deadlines. Abbott required 6 additional months to complete effects work. The delay cost Fox substantial money and lost box office. The January release date would have avoided summer competition. Instead, the film opened against major blockbusters. Abbott later admitted he'd underestimated the technical challenges. Robert Sterling quit acting permanently after this film. Actor Robert Sterling played Captain Lee Crane, the submarine's commander. Sterling was already contemplating retirement from acting before production began. The physically demanding shoot and production chaos convinced him to quit permanently. Sterling was exhausted by the dangerous working conditions and constant delays. He found Irwin Allen's directing style abrasive and disorganized. After filming wrapped, Sterling announced his retirement from professional acting at age 43. He never appeared in another film or television show. Sterling opened a successful real estate business instead. Alternate ending. Irwin Allen filmed an alternate ending where Admiral Nelson dies heroically while launching the missile that saves Earth. The deleted sequence showed Nelson sacrificing himself to manually override malfunctioning systems. He dies as the missile launches successfully. His crew mourns while Earth is saved. Test audiences hated this ending. They wanted Nelson to survive as a hero. Focus groups specifically demanded the Admiral live. Allen initially defended his tragic ending as more realistic and emotionally powerful. 20th Century Fox overruled him based on audience research. Allen reluctantly shot the revised ending showing Nelson's survival. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea could have been a small submarine adventure with modest ambitions. Instead, Irwin Allen created a $15 million spectacle that nearly killed its actors, sank its own set, and saved 20th Century Fox from bankruptcy. The tragic ending was cut, the science was nonsense, and a nuclear submarine became television's longest